Alright, folks, it's going on around 3 a.m. in the morning. Hold on a second. Okay, so it got turned down, but I'm going to try and videotape this anyways. Now, I don't think I'm going to make another video concerning this matter unless it's unless the sound that I'm going to refer to here in a moment is loud enough to where I know it can be captured. So hold on a second. Okay, so they turned it down. I'd say over the past 7 days, these demented, depraved psychos who are hosting the gang stalking of myself, and I bet you $10 the people who are managing the gang stalking of me are also managing the gang stalking of other victims here in San Diego. Anyways, one of the main things these little psychotic rats are attempting to do is sound plays a big role in gang stalking. When you research all the different types of sound harassment and sound technologies used in this crime, when you meticulously research it with a very patient posture, because it's going to take a lot of research for you to be able to see all the different things connected to sound, connected to gang stalking crimes, for you to get a in-depth understanding concerning how much sound plays a role in this crime, you're going to be flabbergasted because it plays a huge role in this crime. I believe at this time, concerning the level of educated knowledge that I'm aware of as of this date, I personally believe that sound is playing a big role for purposes of different types of auditorial brain entrainment. Okay, so I was just quiet for about 15 seconds. So here's what I am perceiving in my environment. There's a low bass type sound that is continuous, that also has some intermittent beats in it, while a higher pitch type sound is played in the other direction. Now, I don't know how well the audio of this video is picking it up, because these little maggots consider that another main part of this program is to monitor all victims' communications in real time 24/7 because of many motives as well. And one of those motives are they want to be able to see if the victim is doing anything that might display what they're doing, so they can adjust their behavior during that type of, like when you're making a video trying to catch them doing something. If they're watching what you're doing, they'll immediately, very often, they'll immediately adjust their behaviors, so that current in real time attempt to expose them becomes compromised, meaning that they'll adjust their behavior when they see that you're attempting to catch what they're doing. Abso-fucking-lutely. Now, there's also a non-stop repeated sound of an engine type sound. It's a non-stop sound that appears to be coming from some type of engine. And a lot of gang stalking victims all over the internet are dedicating this type of sound to be either drones, trucks, or whatever other type of large vehicle might emit that type of engine sound, where it can be heard by the victim. But the purpose of why that type of vehicle would be in the area could be for many reasons. It could be because a truck, what's inside the truck could be some of the weaponry that is being carried around, so that when the victim moves about from place to place, they can be mobile, so they can then get into the near vicinity of the victim in order to perpetrate whatever technology that they at that time want the victim to endure, whether it be electromagnetic weapons, directed energy weapons, maybe anything to do with the assistance of perpetrating ultrasonic sound bone conduction. So many victims of this crime have openly stated in many of their exposures that vehicles are being propped up around their homes, even where they work at, and even sometimes when many reports have detailed that these types of engines have also been heard as the businesses out and about in the community, where they will possibly take their vehicles and park it in a parking lot if a victim's in a store, okay, or especially for any lengthy period of time. So, what you need to understand about these demented freaks, these absolutely criminally insane animals who host this crime, concerning what's reported, they have at least over 19 different platforms that they can perpetrate many of their electromagnetic radiation weaponry, because when you understand what they're doing to gang stalking victims who are targeted at this level, they want to make sure that they can force an effect upon the neurological and biological systems, what they're doing through their weaponry against the victim as often as possible. And the only way they can do that, when you look at the, because gang stalking victims are literally living in an open air prison. When you look at the context of what it means to be in a prison, a physical prison, you're basically locked in a building and then locked in a cell within that building and kept in it. Well, gang stalking victims live in what is known as an open air prison, meaning that they're mostly free to move about within the community. Okay, but everywhere they go and everywhere they live is an open air space for them to be targeted at, because they have so many different modes of operation concerning how they can force and affect these weaponry on the victim. If the victim's moving around a lot, because we live in an open society, then they want to be able to affect these technologies on the victim no matter where the victim goes, which is why they use so many different modes of operation and perpetration. And so when you research all the different types of things that are exposed online, that are used to perpetrate these types of electromagnetic weapons and sound weapons. They got, meaning that they got stationary things within environments that they can perpetrate them through. They got mobile. They got the covert collusion with institutions and businesses that they can go and set up whatever mode of operation, mobile operation that they're using. You should also know that it's also widely reported that there are, since some of their modes of construction are, well, let me just put it to you this way. It is on the internet that a lot of cell phone towers and Gwen towers and radio towers are being used to perpetrate a lot of this sick demonic shit, and please excuse my swearing. So when you look at how satellite dishes, cell phone towers, Gwen towers, stationary satellites within our communities, like on the top of businesses and condos and stuff like that, all of that is implicated. Okay, and much, 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 much more. So it's very easy, and that's not even including the widely reported space-based weapons, believe it or not, that are widely reported to also be used. So these little satanic rats did nothing but build a big, gigantic, how can you say it? A big, gigantic, in order to perpetrate these crimes, these six satanic psychos have literally weaponized every type of thing that you can think of when it comes to what would afford them the ability to transmit, okay, radio frequencies, because electromagnetic weapons can be perpetrated from, well, just research what I've stated. Trust me on this. Just research it. You know how, like, say if you got a cell phone gets under a service contract plan, right? So if you are in Michigan on June 1st and you move to Alaska on June 10th, well, they can literally, like, when you research remote neural monitoring and you see that remote neural monitoring literally enables them to dial up the brain as a result. As crazy as that sounds, and trust me, I know it sounds crazy, but just research it, because that is all over the internet, sweethearts, and it's even been exposed on national radio shows. But check this out. When you research remote neural monitoring, you're going to see that what these wild animals do is that they basically, and there's many ways that they can be able to determine what the biomagnetic resonance frequency is of a human being's brain. Each brain has its own unique biomagnetic resonance frequency. Once you research this and you realize how they can obtain that, and even the even your DNA can be used for bioencoded direct energy weapons attacks. Oh, absolutely. Just research the hell out of everything I'm saying, baby cakes, because your mind is going to be totally blown. Your jaw will drop. It will literally drop. You'll literally say, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this," and then your worldview will literally change forever. Literally, this is no lie. And trust me, once you start researching it, you'll see why I said that. Absolutely. So, as a result of them obtaining the code of your DNA, they can send bioencoded directed energy uh, to that specific DNA frequency, and literally cause the DNA to the whole body to experience directed energy radiation. uh, Once they have deciphered the biomagnetic resonance frequency of your brain, they then what they do then is they look at that and they put in a specialized type of software that's responsible for being able to assign a mathematically equated number related to the frequency output number, and then and then they put it in specialized equipment so that all they have to do is dial up the number that they have associated to that frequency output of the biomagnetic resonance frequency of the brain, so that when they then dial it up, they can force an effect upon that brain a whole host of different types of neurological and biological attacks and other types of methodologies and modes of operations concerning the neural manipulations of the brain and body. These are literally the most evil psychotic rats who have ever walked this planet. Make no mistake about it. Okay. Oh, in fact, you can literally not mathematically quantify the depth of psychopathy that these criminally insane rats. You can't mathematically quantify it. They're so friggin' evil, and literally, these people are so demented that there is literally no mathematical equation that can accurately surmise the depth of how sick these satanic fucks are. They're literally criminally insane to the maximum. These guys literally make Hitler look like a choir boy, and this is no joke. That's no exaggeration. These are demented freaks. We're talking about criminally insane, depraved, sadistic, psychotic. Okay, totally criminally insane. These guys literally make Hannibal Lecter look like a friggin' Boy Scout. That is how bad these cycles are. I mean, because think about what I'm saying. Who the hell in their right mind would say, I'm going to develop weapons so I can neurologically and biologically torture hundreds of thousands of people, okay, by buying through this weaponry where the victim is just, where their brains are cooked alive from the inside out, where their bodies are cooked alive from the inside out, and you feel every bit of it. You literally feel it. Imagine your brain being cooked alive in real time, because this is literally what they're doing. Now, do you really believe that somebody that would develop that type of weapon and then put that type of weapon in modes of operation where they can force and affect it upon hundreds of thousands of people daily, endlessly, okay, in one form or another? Do you really believe that that sounds like people that are sane? These are not sane people. They are totally criminally insane, okay? And so, I know I kind of drove that home a little bit, but I got woken up again tonight. This crime made me homeless, and so if they can target hundreds of thousands of Americans while these Americans are in their homes and where they work at and when they're out about in the community every single fucking day, do you honestly think that these people do not have the illegal criminal tracking capabilities? Because it's obviously they're doing that to the other victims. Do you honestly think they cannot still use those types of tracking capabilities to track a person to a wooded area and force and affect these weaponry on the victim there? Now, I mentioned a second ago. Hold on a second, because I'm having I just lost my train of thought. A minute ago, I made a statement. Uh, I'm right now. I'm having one of those mental whiteouts. So bear with me a second. I wanted to conclude a statement that I brought up a couple minutes ago, and it just came back to mind, and then I lost it again. Hold on a second. Oh, trying to remember what I brought up. All right. So, anyways, so I woke up again um, to feeling like my brain had literally been cooked alive. And so I had to get up and take off my, I wear wet bandanas on my head a lot because water soaks up radiation. And I just woke up with an extremely radiated head. My head is swimming, my eyes are swollen, my tongue is swollen. You just would not believe what I'm going through on a daily basis, my fellow American citizens. You literally just would not believe it. Uh, Lately, in the past month and a half, I've also been hit every single day with extremely high levels of ultrasonic sound bone conduction, to the point to where my 98% of the time, at least my right ear is completely closed while I experience nonstop thermoelastic heating and extremely high pitched tones in them, mostly in my right ear. And this type of technology in and of itself is widely reported to induce consecutive concussions. They can literally kill you with ultrasonic sound. Make no mistake about that. So their whole goal, as a direct result of being hit with this cacophony of different weapons, and then also how the brain is being forced to process a lot of different sounds that are intentionally propped up in the area. The right ear is hearing a high-pitched sound in the environment that they'll intentionally, that sound can either be an effect of some of the technologies being used, meaning that it can be a secondary sound that maybe that their electrical apparatuses that they're using is making as a result of, because when you're using some of these weapons, it's kind of widely reported that when these weapons are in operation, that they will make a secondary sound, the weapons themselves. So when the weapons are being used, as a result of them being used, the weapons themselves will make a particular type of sound. So that's kind of like a high-pitched screeching sound, okay? But it's still low enough to where it's hard for it to be caught. That's hurting the environment. So while the victim is perceiving that in the environment, what they'll do is they'll prop up an opposite type of sound on the other side of the head of the victim, where it's like a low hum, bass type sound that's got intermittent beats in it. Now, that's strongly believed to be done so they can create some type of auditorial entrainment that has breaks in it. Okay. Probably to create auditorial resonance interference signals. Who knows? You can only expose so much based on your limited educated knowledge, even though my knowledge is pretty in depth, because we learn as we go. Okay, as we become more educated, our knowledge becomes increased. So I can only try my best to detail what I've come to understand. But you see, a lot of this brain technology is also being used in order to excite brain arousal, which can be strongly connected to your conscious and unconscious attention, because this is a crime that wants you to notice what they're propping up, because it assists in the auditory entrainment. Okay, in other words, they are absolutely creating auditory entrainment at the unconscious level, which is your right hemisphere. But they will also so they're trying to literally entrain your unconscious awareness, your right brain hemisphere, excuse me, with the specific type of audible distinguishable sound, where your brain is distinguishing that it's in your environment in the right hemisphere because it's going on around you, and that's the right hemisphere is responsible for evaluating what it interprets to be going on in your environment. But when the brain is perceiving that something's going on in your environment that's a danger to you, that will also partially nudge your consciousness to pay attention to it. It's called auditorial fixation, and that is nudged by your brain being aroused as a direct result of the brain being stimulated into an arousal state, because they want you to notice it at the unconscious and conscious level. So they can literally use brain stimulation to stimulate the arousal uh, area of the brain, which is very closely, intimately connected to attention, meaning that they're purposely wanting you to notice it so that your conscious can be entrained to it, concerning like the low, continuous hum that's got intermittent beats in it, while your right ear is intermittently noticing the high pitch sound that's also in the environment, while your ear is processing ultrasonic sound, which I believe is the sound carrier wave that they're using to carry the other sounds so that those sounds can become entrained on the ultrasonic sound wave. Because the ultrasonic sound is strongly suspected to have a bunch of offset carrier waves to it. It's really complex. Oh, absolutely. But, figuring this out as you go, you become educated, while at the same time, though, you're still being victimized in these ways, because, again, you can stimulate the brain to be in a hyper-arousal state by elevating certain brain states concerning alpha, beta, delta, and theta. Okay? And they know all of this because it's literally part of the program. You can't become entrained. You can become entrained at the unconscious layer in the right hemisphere because they prop it up around you. But they also want you to become entrained, okay, in the left hemisphere, which is your conscious awareness. Okay? So they know you can't block it out. And consider this. Okay, so I'm going to be quiet for a second. Listen. Now, I'm going to assume that you're hearing it, or at least you're hearing it enough to recognize that it's there. So,